Hello YouTubers, this is Chris Petrocchi from Aki Visual Art, and today I wanted to give you some quick tips to help you with your drawing portraits and faces. They're quick and easy steps, and let's just get into it because you may be struggling with your portraits, and these steps are definitely going to help you out. It's about basic skull anatomy and construction. So if we're going to draw our faces, our portraits, like we're telling a story, if we want to do that, like Steve Houston said, and I've said it before, then the head is chapter one. Usually what happens is people draw some kind of figure and it looks real cool, and then they just throw the head on at the end. And so you've got this, this bubble head, or maybe this kind of sliver of an ellipse, and it's a placeholder. And so you haven't really solved the problems. It's just a placeholder that you'll come back to later, but by that time it might be just a little too late. So you don't want to run into that problem. So the first thing, step one, I would say, is to just determine the attitude and orientation of the head. So that's just basically drawing a straight line and then drawing an oval. Okay? I'm just trying to get that attitude, the angle of the head. Where is it at? Just get it on the page real quick. So it's a straight line and then drawing your ellipse to kind of fit that angle. All right, and next thing you can do, that's very simple. So we're trying to be just a little more careful than just throwing a circle on, right? So the next thing we want to do, and that oval is like a 3:2 ratio. It's 3 units high to 2 units wide. And so that's what I'm going for. So next thing I want to do is just go ahead and use an ellipse to draw over the form to imply depth and find the tilt of the head. And you just want to make the ellipse at a right angle to the center line. Okay, so if I do something like this and I'm drawing through like it's glass, because that makes it look more 3D and convincing. And if I weight that front line, it looks like the person's really looking up. Okay, let's do it again. Get the oval around that center line, and then this one's looking more or less straight at us. And how about this? If I wanted to look like he's looking down, I'll go ahead and draw that ellipse at a right angle to that center line, and then I'll weight that front part of the ellipse with a thicker line, and that'll make it looks like it's closer to us than the back line. Okay, so this one looks like it's looking down. This one's looking up. Very simple, very quick, and if it's not right, I can quickly get out of it. And that's what I want. I don't want to waste time. I want to see if my idea is clear and then make it simple and characteristic and then build off of that. And right now, I can tell if it's working or not. And so it's easy for me to diagnose problems at this stage and just, if they're wrong, fix them. So that's the first thing, just determining the attitude and orientation of the skull. Now the second thing is, the skull is really kind of like an egg. And so we've got to look a little bit at that underlying structure. So let's do that. But first, let's look at a real skull here. So the skull is, again, we've got this egg here. Egg-looking kind of thing. and it goes like that with something coming off of it, something pulling off. So you'll notice there's something pulling off, and you'll notice also that there's a kind of a structure, right? So there's a structure pulling off the egg. And so let's just look at that for a second. Okay. So that structure is this. It's the eye socket, the zygomatic arch, and the cheekbone, which is the zygomatic arch and the eye sockets. And then there's this other thing. It's like a cylinder, just pulling right off the egg. Right? So there's the tooth cylinder. That's why they call it the tooth cylinder, because it is a cylinder. Or the barrel of the mouth. Barrel of the mouth. Okay. So that's very simple. Let's take that idea and go with it here. So we've got the idea of the egg, and I'm going to draw just over the egg. This is going to be the egg, basically the skull in 3/4. I'm going to draw over it a few times, and then give it a center, right? I'm just like I'm feeling it, drawing over it with my pencil. And then we've got a cylinder that's pulling basically right off of it. Zoom in just a little bit. So that's the idea. It's an egg plus a cylinder. And that is really the basic forms of the skull. And then what happens is that it has that superstructure that's also pulling out from it. It looks like a kind of a pair of sunglasses. So if this is my center line right here, let's pull that superstructure off from it. It looks like a pair of sunglasses. It looks like some kind of architecture. We'll just block in the idea of it here. And you can see pulling off, hitting a corner, and then attaching back into that cylinder. So here we are on this side, and this is that bottom of the cheekbone or zygomatic arch, and moving back towards the ear. Okay, so that's that kind of superstructure that's pulling off the basic egg shape or ovoid shape. And here it's hollow because that part of the egg goes back behind the eye socket. So I'm just going to darken that up there to give this sense of 3D volume here. Okay. So that's your basic construction. And I'll just go ahead and just put, without putting the nose in, it's the idea of the eye sockets just right here, just to keep it real simple. And that's your basic construction of the skull. Good so far. Okay, so let's take that now and take that same idea and look at the planes. So we look at the anatomy. Let's look at the planes here. So we're starting off with my egg shape. And I'm just going to pull kind of a triangular shape off of that. And we need to break up the planes. I need the major plane breakup. So what I'm going to do is just swing an arc right through here. And so now I've got side plane pretty much going, which is good, and the front plane, which is all this stuff here. So the eyes are going to be in the center, basically here. So that's half and half. I'll put the eyes there. Just above that is going to be the brow, and it's curved. It's not a straight plane, it's a curved plane. It's the front of the face. So I'm going to give this a center here. So that comes out like a visor protecting the eyes. Then it steps in and then steps out and then goes straight down basically to where the jaw would be. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side, creating the top of the cheek and then something like that. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves right there. And that really gives us a good sense of the front plane of the face and the side plane of the face. And I'm going to go ahead and throw a tone in here so we can see a little bit better. So now it's coming along. Now that move that I made with this arc right here, this one right here, when it flows through and goes right to there, that is really important. And I covered this in my other video on drawing the head in 3/4. But along this line, along this right here, you got corner. Basically, it's the corner of the box. You know, I'm looking for the corner of the box. The more I can show off the box, the more realistic, the more convincing my head's going to be. So I've got these corners right here that I'm trying to show them off. So this arc swings through, and I got the top part of the forehead, that corner of the forehead before it turns to the side of the head, swings around, and I hit the top part of the cheekbone, or the zygomatic arch, the orbit of the eye, and then on through, and it also gives me the masseter, or the muscle that you chew with here. So it separates the back part of the jaw right here from the front part of the jaw, which is basically this stuff here. So that's good stuff. All right, so let's go ahead here and keep completing these ideas. So now I've got really good side plane to front plane. Let's do that a little bit again. Got front plane turning to side plane. All this stuff is front of the face, right? All this stuff is side plane. All right, then the next thing is to put on, I'm going to build this chin box out a little bit. And from here I can put on the tooth cylinder or barrel of the mouth, which is coming out from behind the nose. It's like an orange that's submerged into the surface of the face, so you only see part of the sphere shape. And then that gives it a new center line right here. So the center line was there, but it gives us this new center line. And that is going to give us the structure on which we can build the lips, build the mouth. And okay, so there's your basic plain explanation of the head. Not too hard at all. Okay, let's go and build the nose on top of that and the idea of where that is. So let's go back here, and we'll start putting in the idea of the nose. So the nose is going to start right about here, just underneath the eye socket, and it's called the glabella. It's like a keystone shape here. And it overlaps the eye socket, or the eyebrow, and the eyebrow is really built sort of coming out from the glabella. And then the nose is really, it's a prism, so we can use the idea of, getting this thing on here like a wedge. And so that's one way we can do it. We can think of it like planes. Okay, and just keeping it really simple, really clear. And then I can build my idea of a nose on top of that. Or we can kind of think of it in terms of anatomy, where it's more like bones here. Just going to turn up the flow a little bit. So there's your nasal cavity. There's that side plane of the nose and then hitting the top of the cheek. So there's a side plane in there. This is the inside of the orbit of the eye, or the eye socket. And so there is some cartilage inside the nose that comes off and separates. So the bone ends here, and then it hollows out, and there's cartilage here. So let's just take this back a little bit. Okay, so we've got our bone. There's usually a bump right there. And bring that back a little bit more. Okay. So it's got this cartilage inside, and then you've got the ball of the nose, the wings of the nose. So I'm just building around that idea of the planes and the idea that there's a wedge there. And the side plane of the nose is oftentimes very difficult to figure out. Okay, so let's put that idea of the tooth cylinder here. And bring the jaw out a little bit. We've got that. Okay. It's the mandible. And so we don't need much more information than that. If we've got that idea that there's a cylinder, I'm going to go ahead and draw across the form. So it looks like it's pushing back on the sides. In here, I'll just go ahead and put that into shadow. And then just refine this up a little bit. Just go a little too long back there, and then so now we've got the nose there, we've got a place to build the mouth around this nice barrel, which is literally like a barrel that's pushing out. From the front plane. Or we can think of it like that idea of the cylinder. It's like a can of tuna, and it's got a place where the lips are, or the teeth are. That's the basic idea. And so just using those things to very simple concepts to construct the thing. And it's very powerful when you can do that for yourself. And then you begin to internalize it into your mind and into your muscle memory. And then it's yours. And you can start to create. You can feel free because you're confident. So just build things at any angle that you want, that you need, that serves your story. I'm just pushing this stuff back in space so you can see the planes a little bit better. And so if you're having trouble with your portraits and drawing your faces, then this could be helpful to you, because you're basically analyzing the anatomy and construction with really simple ideas. So that's about all the time we have for. This was a quickie, but if you've struggled with drawing portraits or faces, I hope this was really helpful information for you. I know it was for me because I struggled for a long time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and let me know in the comments box what you'd like to see next. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.